After massive hype for the segment last Monday, with the show even more focused on building it up than the Vengeance pay-per-view, including the absurdly comedic visual of Vince McMahon's Kiss My Ass Club crossing over into some mainstream media entertainment outlets and radio shows to add more intrigue for the Rock and Vince segment set to conclude the angle on Thursday with the company after huge spikes for the McMahon quarters in the past 2 weeks, targeting blockbuster viewership for the payoff with Rock and McMahon in a 20-minute segment to open SmackDown's second hour on Thursday, December 6 at 9 p.m. matching expectations in every aspect, with Rock setting the stage throughout, bringing out JR, Trish and eventually the returning Rikishi to get Vince back, to a huge reaction from the sold-out crowd at the Allstate Arena in Chicago, officially announcing the closing of the Vince McMahon Kiss My Ass Club to end the rating-boosting TV angle with its biggest number yet, as SmackDown on Thursday, driven by the heavily promoted segment, ended up at near-record levels, drawing the 4th most-watched SmackDown show of 2001 and the most-watched WWF TV broadcast since Rock's first week of television back in late July to early August, drawing close to 7.6 million viewers for the show overall, which also featured a big star power main event tag match building up the Vengeance pay-per-view triple headliner, with Rock and Austin teaming up against Angle and Jericho to close the show, with Rock and Austin toasting both world titles to tease them facing off for the Undisputed title on Sunday, with the Big Rock McMahon segment peaking the night with around 9 million viewers, making it the most-watched WWF segment since Rock's return week and among the most-watched segments of the past year to head into the pay-per-view Sunday with boosted interest. Chris Jericho closed the Vengeance pay-per-view last night, holding both the WWF and former WCW world title belts in a scenario that just 10 months ago would have seemed like a wild dream, to be crowned the industry's first ever undisputed champion, and a major surprise with him the most unlikely winner out of the 4, presented with both belts by Ric Flair to kick off Raw, with Jericho as surprised about the title change as the majority of the audience, with him finding out about him getting the biggest push of his career just on Sunday afternoon, hours before the Vengeance pay-per-view went on the air, with Vince McMahon while in a conversation with Undertaker at the catering area of the sports arena in San Diego jokingly telling Taker for Jericho to overhear that business is going down when you're putting the title on Jericho. As with Rock and Austin about to have other plans heading into the road to WrestleMania 18, Kurt Angle was said to be the original choice to be the first undisputed champion before Vince changed plans a week before the event to use the title to give Jericho a massive momentum boost after a mega elevating job from Rock in the past several months to put him over as a legit main event player, with Jericho cutting his follow-up title win promo putting himself over for the accomplishment, as well as him beating both Rock and Austin for the titles in back-to-back matches in the biggest highlight of his career, setting up Flair booking his first title defense with Jericho against Austin in a cage for the main event later tonight. New Hardcore champion Undertaker was out next after going over Van Dam in his first pay-per-view match as a heel, bumping Raw over 600,000 viewers in the second quarter for a 3-minute Hardcore match against Spike Dudley, followed by Vince McMahon arriving to the building with Booker and security after screwing both Rock and Austin out of the titles last night, confronted by Ric Flair to tell him about the Austin vs. Jericho title match to set up McMahon booking Rock's match for the night, teaming with Trish against the Dudleys for the tag titles, and after Vengeance last night ended up the 3rd WWF pay-per-view to not be available on DirecTV, Direct after continuing to get multiple complaints from subscribers in the past several months about the WWF shows, sending out a message on Sunday saying that the WWF refuses to authorize DirecTV to offer the Vengeance pay-per-view to its customers, trying to put the blame on the WWF for not reaching a new deal while noting that they're striving to reach a resolution with the company in the near future. with the WWF meanwhile, after offering a live webcast on its website for the first 5,000 registers as another way to watch the show, still not willing to negotiate a lesser deal than the previous contract, which expired early in 2001, when they now have more leverage than ever before, willing to accept the monthly lost revenue in the meantime, believing that Direct would eventually have to accept a new deal on their terms after pressure from its subscribers and over 7 figures lost on every event, with Raw's first hour peaking in the third quarter between 9:30 to 45, with Kurt Angle recapping the Big Rock McMahon segment from last Thursday before working a match against Rikishi in his first match back from injury, doing a 4.5 rating. As the WWF closes its first full calendar year on TNN, the network reported a 40% increase over 2001 compared to 2000, even with Raw dropping below the levels of the September to December period of last year, with the network driven by Raw's massive audience and exposure also seeing its other shows jumping over 26% in the latest quarter, with TNN's general manager crediting the WWF for turning the channel into a top 10 network for the first time in its history, while on the other hand WCW Nitro's former home in TNT saw its average dropping 12% from last year, with TNT representative in response to the network dropping its highest rated show noted that they wanted to change direction to a more drama series based content, while admitting that they took a hit in overall numbers as Nitro even to its last days was still their #1 rated program on the air. After climbing throughout the first 45 minutes of the broadcast, with the first hour overall while doing an above-average 4.3 rating still hovering around the normal range on a decent Monday night, things picked up to another level at 10 p.m. with The Rock and Trish vs. Dudleys tag titles match seeing Raw spiking huge with over 1.1 million viewers to take the show from a 4.4 to the highest rated quarter of the night 5.2 rating within 15 minutes. As Rock with McMahon watching from the skybox in the follow-up of the massive audience watching the SmackDown angle, continuing the momentum from Thursday with the match going longer than usual for a Raw TV broadcast, with Rock and the Dudleys going 12 minutes to open the second hour, ending with Trish tagging in while Test distracted Rock outside the ring to see the Dudleys going over, starting a mini TV program between Test and Rock with over a month to go to the Rumble pay-per-view. As after the massive spike for the tag match to enter the 5 rating range, Raw was able to maintain the majority of the additional viewership tuning in during the Rock-Dudleys match, hovering around the 4.8 rating mark for the next 30 minutes on the way to the main event, resulting in Raw's second hour averaging a 5 rating with over 6.5 million viewers, making it Raw's first full hour to enter the 5 rating range and the most watched 10 to 11 p.m. hour since August 27. Vince McMahon's reaction to last Thursday's segment was next, saying that Rock closed the Kiss My Ass Club but he's opening a new one starting tonight, called the Vince McMahon Kick Your Ass Club, with Flair, Rock, Austin and Trish already joining it in the past 24 hours, coming after Flair and Vince had their first physical confrontation at the end of the pay-per-view last night on the way to the eventual Flair vs. McMahon match, with Vince hyping up Booker as the next top star in the company after bringing him back now as part of the WWF for the first time, followed by the continuation of the Hardys' feud with a Matt vs. Jeff and Lita handicap match going 5 minutes. with the advertising for the Vengeance pay-per-view built around Triple H's potential return months in advance, with the company sending out the poster and TV commercial to cable companies after original estimates and doctor evaluations predicted Hunter's return to the ring by mid-December. Things had to be pushed back a month after Hunter's latest check saw his surgeon James Andrews reportedly not clearing him to return until early to mid-January, with Hunter despite the pay-per-view promotion ending up not appearing on the show in person, with the company instead starting the build-up to his return last night by debuting a WWF Desire video package with U2's Beautiful Day as the background song during the pay-per-view broadcast covering Hunter's road to recovery, with the date of the return still not officially announced, while replaying the video on the night set to be heavily featured on WWF TV for the next month at around 10:40 p.m. to the wider TV audience, followed by Steve Austin's promo kicking off Raw's final quarter, with Austin debuting a new t-shirt targeted to be a massive seller, with the catchphrase continuing to catch fire on the road and on the television tapings, with Austin now encouraging the chant after every sentence in a similar way to this generation's Flair's old-school Woo promos, as Austin cut a comedic promo detailing his order of food and alcohol at the Sonic Drive-In in Anaheim earlier in the day before hyping a potential feud against Booker and the Undisputed title cage match coming next, with the company also seeing a rare situation at the San Jose house show on Saturday, as with the show coming a day before a pay-per-view, with the headliners usually having the day off in preparation to the main event matches on Sunday night. San Jose 24 hours before Vengeance, which was originally advertised as a Rock vs. Austin main event before the Austin babyface turn, featured all 4 pay-per-view headliners in a replay of the Tuesday SmackDown match, with Rock and Austin vs. Angle and Jericho headlining in the Tornado Tag match, with the Jericho vs. Austin cage match in Jericho's first title defense and the first ever title defense in general for the Undisputed title, kicking off at 10:55 p.m. Austin vs. Jericho crossed over 11 p.m. to go 8 minutes in the overrun, jumping over 700,000 viewers to the peak of the night 5.3 rating, seeing Jericho and Austin going 11 minutes, with Austin opening up Jericho doing a major blade job to have the match won before returning to lay out Jericho with a stunner, bringing down Booker to cost Austin the match for Jericho to retain and set up Booker vs. Austin as the TV program on the way to the Rumble pay-per-view, with Raw drawing its joint second highest rated show in over 3 months with a 4.7 rating, only behind the reboot draw on the day after the Survivor Series pay-per-view, with the show combined with a huge SmackDown viewership from last Thursday making it the most watched 4 days of WWF television in months, with SmackDown and Raw combining for over 14 million viewers.